I was banned from Thanksgiving so my brother wouldn't be stressed. I sat alone at a restaurant until a couple invited me to their table. 5 years later, at my wedding, my biological parents stood up to claim me. My new dad, a retired judge, took a microphone and dropped a truth bomb that silenced the entire room. I sat in a booth at a local diner, staring at a plate of cold turkey and lumpy mashed potatoes. It was Thanksgiving 5 years ago. My phone buzzed on the table. It was a text from my mother. Please understand, Leo. Your brother is having a hard time with his sobriety. Having you there, with your promotion and your new car, it just stresses him out. It's better if you stay away this year. We'll send you leftovers. I was 23. I had worked 3 jobs to get that promotion. I wasn't the one who had spent the family savings on a gambling addiction. That was my brother, Golden Boy Sam. But in my family, my success was a threat to his healing. I was invisible until they needed a scapegoat. I felt a lump in my throat. I didn't want the leftovers. I wanted a family. Is the seat taken, son? I looked up. An older couple was standing there. The man had silver hair and a piercing gaze that felt like it could see right through a brick wall. The woman had the kindest smile I'd ever seen. I'm just eating alone, I muttered, wiping my eyes. My family, they're busy. Nobody should eat alone on Thanksgiving, the man said. His voice was like gravel and velvet. I'm Arthur. This is Elena. Join us. That was the night my life actually started. Arthur wasn't just a kind stranger. He was a retired superior court judge. Over the next 5 years, they didn't just mentor me. They chose me. When I got pneumonia, Arthur sat by my bed. When I bought my first house, Elena picked the paint. They became the parents I thought I'd never have. I legally changed my last name to theirs 3 years ago. I went completely no contact with my biological parents. I blocked the guilt-tripping texts and the demands for loans to help Sam's latest business venture. Fast forward to last Saturday. My wedding day. I was marrying the woman of my dreams. Arthur was my best man and the father of the groom. I hadn't invited my biological parents, but somehow they found out. They showed up during the reception, looking disheveled and out of place in a room full of dignity. During the speeches, my biological father, David, actually stood up. He walked toward the mic with a fake trembling smile. Excuse me, David said into the microphone. As Leo's real father, I think I should be the one giving this toast. We've had our differences, but blood is thicker than water. Leo, son, come give your father a hug. Let's put the past behind us. The room went deathly silent. My heart hammered against my ribs. I felt that old, familiar coldness creeping in. Then Arthur stood up. He didn't rush. He didn't yell. He just walked over and gently took a microphone from David's hand. Arthur turned to face the room, but his eyes were locked on my biological parents. I've spent 40 years on the bench, Arthur said, his voice booming without effort. I know the difference between a father and a donor. He took a step closer to them. David tried to puff out his chest, but he withered under Arthur's gaze. 5 years ago, you threw this man out like trash because his light shone. Too bright for your shadow of a son, Arthur continued. You didn't want him when he was a lonely kid in a diner. You only want him now because you heard he's successful. You heard he's marrying into a family with resources. My biological mother started to cry. That's not fair. We're his parents. Arthur didn't flinch. In my courtroom, we deal in evidence, Arthur said. The evidence shows that for 5 years, you never called to ask if he was fed. You never called to see if he was alive. You only called when the bank threatened to foreclose on your house last month. I know, because I'm the one who handled the legal inquiry. The guest gasped. My biological parents turned pale. You aren't here for a wedding, Arthur dropped the truth bomb. You're here because you filed a fraudulent claim against Leo's new estate, claiming he owed you parental back pay for his upbringing. The room was so quiet you could hear the air conditioning hum. I am a retired judge, Arthur said, his voice dropping to a whisper that carried to the back of the hall. And I've already had my colleagues look into your filings. If you don't leave this building in the next 60 seconds, I won't just have you escorted out. I will personally ensure the DA processes the fraud charges I've been sitting on. He paused, then turned to me with a look of pure, unfiltered pride. Leo isn't your blood anymore. He's my son. And in this family, we protect our own. Security stepped forward. My biological parents didn't say another word. They scurried out of the hall like rats fleeing a spotlight. Arthur turned back to the crowd, raised his glass, and smiled. Now, as I was saying, to my son, Leo, the best man I know, the applause was deafening. I didn't just get a wedding that day. I finally got justice.